Am I the asshole for getting someone fired because they pretended to know the language? English is not my first language. I, 27 female, decided to apply for my dream job. I have met all the criteria and one of them was to be proficient in my native language, Russian. Which I am, since I've grown up in the country speaking and writing in it and have finished school and university where obviously all the subjects are taught in Russian, except English and French, German language classes. I ended up securing the interview with this place and needed to demonstrate the knowledge of Russian, so the person who did the interview started asking me questions in it. However, I could barely understand her. Not only the accent made it incredibly difficult but the fact that she couldn't build a sentence, but also used incorrect forms of the words and the pronunciation was totally wrong too. In short, it sounded as if she was randomly putting the words in Google Translate and was trying to repeat them over. I have answered all her questions, however I've also noticed she barely made any notes. I decided to let it pass and wait for a verdict. After about 3 months of chasing and silence, I got an email saying I wasn't successful and the reason was that they believed my knowledge of Russian language was poor and insufficient for the job and not up to their standards, according to the interviewer. Of course I was confused, since the lady who interviewed me could barely speak the language herself. So I have decided to leave feedback about my experience on one of the job sites, which was made to share info about working at the job and interview process. My review received a fair amount of traction and last week Monday I ended up getting a call from the higher-ups, who listened to my feedback and opened the investigation. On Friday I have found out the lady who interviewed me was dismissed. She and her friends were messaging me on social media calling an asshole, because this job was her only source of income and was struggling. I am now feeling guilty about this and feel like I was an asshole for writing about my experience. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. She is scamming her company by pretending to speak a language that she has minimal fluency in. Imagine how many other people she's turned down for jobs. In Ta, you were denied a job based on a lie that wasn't yours. That's not on you. It could have been your only source of income too. Not the asshole. She shouldn't have pretended to know a language she wasn't fluent in, and it's her own fault for being sacked. She could have easily had avoided this by not pretending and having someone else do the interview that did know Russian. Not the asshole. You missed out on a wonderful sounding job, due to a person who clearly wasn't up to scratch and had no business interviewing someone fluent in the language. Not the asshole. She isn't qualified to do her job, and lied about the results of the interview. The business that employs her requires a knowledge of the language and she's pulling the wool over their eyes. Not your concern, and I hope you're able to interview again. Am I the asshole for not letting my daughter buy clothes? My wife, 37 female, and I, 37 male, have 4 kids, 14 female and 14 male, 12 male, and 11 female. We generally agree on parenting them, but a recent incident had me and my wife disagreeing and I want to see if I was in the wrong. A few weeks ago, I was at home with our 12-year-old because he was sick with a stomach bug. While I was making him soup, I got a call from my twins' high school, telling me that they wanted to speak with me, and that my daughter had received 3 days of ISS for a bullying incident. Because of my son's sickness, I spoke through them via phone and they told me everything that had happened. My daughter and a group of her friends was picking on a boy for wearing a crop top. The boy told the teacher. She asked them to stop. When they didn't stop, she sent them to the office. After talking to the boy, he admitted the bullying was going on for a few days, and that they kept bothering him when he asked them to stop. My daughter and son came home and my son's face was bright red. I told my daughter to go to her room and then sat down with my son to see if he was okay. Apparently the boy she bullied was a close friend of his, one of his football teammates. The boy was talking to my son and their other friends and said something about how he thought it was cool that some men used to wear sports crop tops. The boys told him if he thought it was cool, he should try it. The boys went out and bought some jerseys from the thrift store and made them into crop tops. I then spoke to my daughter. She didn't show much remorse and was dismissive of me. Last year she also got in trouble for bullying someone because of clothing. She's also gotten in trouble for racism at school. Very white area. We are white. Her and her friends were saying racist stuff in class. When my wife got home, we discussed a punishment and agreed on not buying her new clothes for a while. She has plenty of good clothes already. This weekend, we went to visit my brother. My brother lives around 3 hours away in a small town and we don't see him often. This week was the town's annual fair. At the fair, they had booze from local businesses. Our oldest son went to the booth with antique sports stuff and then the book booth to get books on sports history. Son loves reading those. Our 12Y got some plushies and toys, and our youngest was looking at video games. Our oldest daughter went to the clothes. I stopped her and told her the rule was still in place. I said she could buy books, a video game, candy, etc. But clothes were the one thing she could not get. She was bugging my wife and my wife eventually told her she would reconsider it. She then talked to me and I told her that I wasn't changing my stance because I am letting her buy other stuff and I thought she was being entitled. My daughter didn't buy anything and my wife thinks I was too tough on her. When I called my mom for advice, she also agreed with my wife. Am I the asshole? A 14-year-old is racist and a bully and her only punishment is not getting clothes for a while? Your daughter is a racist bully and your response is, "We'll buy you anything but clothes," and your wife won't even hold to that? Have you considered real consequences for your daughter's shitty behavior? Info. Other than no buying clothes, how are you handling the fact that your child is a racist bully? The bigger issue is that your daughter is racist, homophobic, I assume that's the crop top bullying, and a bully. So, sure, not the asshole for upholding your weak punishment, but definitely two asshole parents for not doing more to deal with the issue. I commend you for sticking to your guns. However, that is the weakest punishment I've ever heard of. You are the asshole. You need to actually make her endure something meaningful that will address the horrible behavior she is exhibiting. Then stick to your guns on it. Am I the asshole for spending my daughter's tuition money? Our daughter is 20F and she recently decided to go back to college after taking a year off. She dropped out of college a few months saying it wasn't for her. We adamantly advised against it, but she ended up moving in with her boyfriend and started working in his family's restaurant business. There was still a little north of $30,000 set aside in the account I set aside for her tuition money. My wife and I had been wanting to remodel our kitchen for a while, so decided to go ahead with that money. Well, now my daughter has decided to go back to college because it didn't work out with her boyfriend and she didn't like any of the jobs she had following that. She was shocked that we had used her college money towards the house even though we had this conversation before she left. She asked if she could have access to her college tuition account before she moved in with her boyfriend, to which we explicitly said no and said that was saved for her tuition only and nothing else, and that if she left we'd use it for something else. She said she thought we were bluffing and didn't actually mean it, and that we need to help her pay for college since we are still paying for her younger brother's yearly tuition. I told her she needs to work part-time and go to a cheaper place like community college rather than a state school. She's been angry over this and ignoring her mother's phone calls. Her mother has said maybe we can still help her out financially, but we're nearing our retirement age and a little behind our retirement goals, so I don't want to take away from our savings just because my daughter made some bad choices. I feel like I have given her good alternatives and even offered to let her stay at our house free of rent so she can just focus on paying for college. Am I the asshole? This situation is harsh on your daughter, but not the asshole. She made a decision to drop out, and with that came you telling her that you'd use the remaining college fund money for something else. I also presume that at the time of her dropping out, she presented her decision as permanent since she said that college wasn't for her, meaning that you don't know how long she would have taken to go back to college if she went back at all. But I thought you were bluffing is a feeble response. You don't get to use that line when you're making a life-changing decision and are given conditions by the people financing you. She just learned a very expensive lesson. Am I the asshole for moving out while my parents are on vacation? I, F20, have 3 siblings who live at home. M22, M15, M12. My older brother does not work and does not go to school. My middle and youngest brothers are in middle and high school. I have been taking care of them for about 6 years now. My parents both work. I am the only one who cleans, and makes food, and takes care of the dogs. I have access to a car that I share with my brother, but he takes it to go see his friends and hook up with Tinder randos. So I have had to bring home groceries on the bus, because oh yeah, I also do the grocery shopping. I have tried talking to my parents about it, but they say that my brother is finding himself and the younger ones have to concentrate on school. I am in my 3rd year of college and it is wrecking me. My boyfriend, 24, has talked to his parents and they are letting me move into the apartment over their garage. He will be paying the rent for the apartment. He lives at home rent-free, but he also graduated and has a great job, so we talked about it and it is fair. We are committed to each other, but we are way too young to think about moving in together or getting married. I am not saying that this is too young for anyone else. We just know what we want in life, and until I get my nursing degree and get a job we aren't ready. My parents went away this weekend for NASCAR in Vegas. It is their third vacation this year. I do not begrudge them their holidays, they both work hard. But I am tired of being an unpaid nanny, dog sitter. So I grabbed my laptop, clothes, and a few other things that I have been gifted. I waited for my older brother to get home, and I left. I told him I was going out for milk, but my boyfriend was waiting in the car around the corner. He started texting me about 20 minutes later saying he needed the car. I did not take the car. I left all the keys on the counter, even my house keys. My grandparents pay for my education, so there is literally nothing my parents can hold over me. I let him know I wasn't coming back, and I let my parents know after the last race that I had left him in charge of the younger kids and bailed. They drove straight home instead of spending the night partying and driving home today. Everyone is mad at me for being so immature and thoughtless. I just don't care anymore. I talked to my grandfather and he says that I am right and my brothers can look after themselves. My mom keeps calling and complaining that the house is a mess. I was only gone for 9 hours before they got home, but my brothers are pigs. My older brother says I am an asshole because my parents are making him do everything that I used to do. I cannot find it in myself to give a shit. And #X200B. Am I the asshole? ? Not the asshole you keep doing and being who you are, and you'll always be a fantastic person. I am sorry for the attitudes of your parents and brothers. Maybe they'll change, maybe they won't, but by not being there they will have to face up to all you did around the house and for them. I'm sure you'll find that almost everyone reading your post will be mentally sending hugs and support to you. That blew up. Every single one of these upvotes is the love and support Reddit has for you. Be well. Love how your parents are now making your brother do all your former duties. It just shows that they never believed anything they said about him needing to find himself. They just needed you to shut up. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. So basically my interpretation is that because you are the girl of the family you were expected to carry the responsibilities of your parents, older brother and younger brothers. And now that you're gone your older brother is upset because he doesn't get to be lazy anymore. You are so not the asshole.